First of all, before we start our video, I would like to say that we will now focus on educational and use detailed topics in our content due to the stagnation on the market and tendency to educational content. This will allow us to have technical research details and to gain new information. We can use it in every field if we understand the research technique and its details. Rather than basic analysis is a simple thing, there is not much to look at. Read 2-4 news, read 2-3 news, follow the agenda, and you will understand. So let's take a look at what methods and technical details Kripto Ofis uses in project research. Welcome to Kripto Ofis channel. I'm Iryna. We have all been in the cryptocurrency markets for a long time. I think the latest one to join us joined in the 2021. From this point of view, we can say that no one is late to enter this market. No one needs FOMO. The rate of those who trade with cryptocurrencies or use them as investment tools is on the rise. The number of people making transactions with crypto money in 2021 increased by 74% compared to the previous year. In other words, close to 5 million people met with cryptocurrencies only in the past 2 years. This makes a figure like 7% of the one country's population. KuCoin, which is also one of the most used exchanges, revealed in a research it published in the past 2 weeks that 61% of crypto money investors aim to protect their existing savings. All these publications and researches are not published just to write on the board. There is a picture that all of this reveal, and according to this picture, we need to secure ourselves and our investments. This should be one of the missions of channels like ours. Already, the market directions of the X project can compile the data obtained from these open sources in a very comfortable way and set the signs on the share of this cake. That's why you are constantly seeing new cryptocurrency projects. From time to time, there may be scam projects that do not have a smart contract for fraudulent purposes. Of course, we will not be hostile to the whole concept of crypto money just because we say it like that. At this point, we need to do our own research well and not to believe every news or website we see, but question it. As Kripto Ofis, we subject the projects will bring to you to a scoring system accordingly to the results of the research, which we will explain shortly, and we decide to describe them accordingly. Of course, as we say at the end of each of our videos, you should do your own research as well. Then let's come to the key question. So, how to do it? Are we doing research just by looking at the white paper or just looking at the team members' LinkedIn profiles? So, where to get an audit? These are of course important. You're already doing this. However, with the completely free tools that I will tell you now, it is possible to take your research further and become a crypto researcher. Our first tool to start with is Similarweb. With Similarweb, you can check the reliability of the website and blog. You can use Similarweb as a Chrome extension, but it will redirect you to the website if it does not have a large traffic. By saying more insights, you can easily see the traffic of the website, from which you got the news, from which countries it was visited, its competitors, and which social networks are used on the site you are researching. This data can make you knowledgeable about many subjects. For example, with the data from which country the traffic comes from, you can make sense of which country the investor profiles tend to be. Or you can compare the social networks links provided on the site with the links you find on the social media. Let's make a note of this information. The second tool we will use is metadata2go.com. As the name suggests, it's not a plugin, it's a website. So if you ask what we do with this website, we briefly access to metadata of all digital files on your computer. For example, you downloaded the white paper from project's website, and you can see a lot of information such as whether it was modified later, if so, on which date and how many times it was changed, and now on which computer it is produced. Now let's know the information of a white paper you downloaded. The third tool we will use is archive.org. This site will show us the original of a tweet posted posted in the past and subsequently deleted, a website that was opened in the past and is now closed, an article or image that was displayed on a website in the past but was later changed silently. You can even go back in a date and time to see what was written on which date. This data can show us whether they are sticking to their roadmap or whether they have denied a guarantee they have given. And for example, a newly launched project may have gone on an investment tour by starting on its roadmap that it will switch to its own blockchain. Later, it may say that we didn't promise such a thing. In such case, archive.com can be used. Let's not forget that trust is very important in this market. We put this data in our pocket. The fourth and one of the tools we will use the most is the Web Scraper tool, which allows us to perform sentiment or sentiment analysis by data mining from Twitter. This is of great importance to us because it scans the entire Twitter and encodes the data models you specify and allows you to download it to your computer as an Excel file. Sentiment analysis stands for sentiment and thought analysis, but it should not be confused with the sentiment analysis that analytics companies do on blockchains. With Web Scraper, we do sentiment analysis on Twitter, the social network where cryptocurrency are most talked about and discussed. Normally, this data parsing is done with coding over, but Web Scraper provides us text in minutes without coding. How Web Scraper is used in educational content in itself, so I will not mention it, but I will leave a simple video explaining you how to use it in the explanation section. Well, if you say that will it add to us doing sentiment analysis on Twitter, it will give data on what people think and what they write about any crypto money project and what the general opinion is. Let's take a note of this information as well. The fifth file of data is tokenomics details. Details such as the total supply of the projects, the circulation supply, pre-sales, liquidity, and percentages allocated to the team can provide you with data on the prices. For example, every crypto lover makes inferences that a project with a very low total supply will take a shorter time to be priced, or that the amount allocated to the team will be unlocked suddenly and without a percentage will suppress the price. For this reason, we will not talk about it much, but it is useful to keep it in your pocket as well. Let's also know the tokenomics data. The sixth file of the data is team intelligence. Gathering intelligence about the team is perhaps the easiest and most enjoyable part of the job. The internet is such a huge amount of information that even the comments you wrote years ago can come back to you today. Therefore, while researching the team, you can gather intelligence not only about the information given on the website, but also about team members from networks such as LinkedIn, Facebook, and even Instagram. For example, if you can find a nickname or nickname used by a team member, don't ignore it as it contains a whole chunk of data. Small details like this can turn out to be big news. One of the things you can pay attention to about the team member is that you can look at who else works at the company that he/she has worked for on LinkedIn and research them and ask what role he/she has in the company. Or you can review the text contact and photos that he or she shared on the social media during the years he said he worked for this company. So our job is to stall. Let's put this data in our pocket also. Finally, let's consider on-chain and sentiment data. This data will allow you to have a lot of information on a blockchain, such as buying, selling, direction of money, number of miners, sales, and scrapping details. With sentiment data, you will be able to access information about the emotional states of on-chain investors. Since these are very detailed and technical issues, we can talk about how to make another video, but it is worth nothing that there are dozens of tutorials on both YouTube and Udemy. You can also compare dominance values and the index of fear and greed with coins360.com. These values will allow you to see in which crypto the money flow to the market and the level of expectations from the market. Now let's put out the data we pocket. Let's see what we got with all this data. From which countries the project's website is mostly visited, the demographic structures of the visitors of the project, whether changes are made to the white paper, whether they are surprised by their roadmaps, whether they give information and then go to the denial, what is talked about this project in social media channels, and the perception of the society. To make sense of tokenomics details, how to obtain intelligence about team members, money flow, and movements of miners on blockchain. Details such as panic sales made by investors with their emotional states. You have all this data on fear and greed in the market. This allows you to be at least 2-0 ahead at the start of the match. In addition to all this, if a project has received an audit, you need to check it from that audit company's site and open the report and read it. For example, where did the 10% score of the project that passed with 90% be broken? Have these bugs in the smart contract been fixed? It is really important to follow them. Other details could be financial literacy and research of the company's crypto assets. As you can see, and true fundamental analysis involves much more than just browsing its website and browsing its white paper. Of course, it is also very useful to follow the trading view data of analysis working at companies such as Bloomberg. In this video, we try to tell you a little bit more about how we examine cryptocurrencies, companies, stock markets at Krypto Ofis, and what we pay attention to. Of course, let's also point out that besides this data, we examine the smart contract details which our software team does. Although some of them are verification tools called fast-checking. As you can see, they are tools that can be used in every field. See you with more educational content in the coming days. Stay cool.